Hey fam, this is Ron Bell, pastor of the Arise Church. Welcome to video 3, lesson 3 of our life group 2, The Case for Humanity. Today we're talking about the importance of forgiveness when it comes to how God has formed us. So again, if you haven't had a chance to read the scripture, here it is. Read it real quick, take a second, and then we'll jump right in. All right. All right, so this is an interesting story. You're probably familiar with some aspects of this story in the text. So this is when Moses had gone up to get the 10 Commandments, and he'd been up there for 40 days. He'd been up there for a while. And while he was getting the 10 Commandments, Aaron, who was his second in charge, was down with the Israelites in the desert. And the Israelites were uncertain that Moses was going to come back. And so they began to get scared. And so they said to Aaron, let's make us some other gods. And Aaron was like, I don't know. But they kept pressing Aaron. And so finally Aaron said, fine, take off all your gold and we'll make a golden calf. And so the Israelites took off all their gold and they molded into this big giant golden calf and started worshiping the golden calf. And so they're worshiping the golden calf and, they're dancing around, they're naked, they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And Moses comes back down off the mountain with the 10 Commandments. And he sees them doing this stuff and he gets so mad that he throws the 10 Commandments on the ground. He breaks the 10 Commandments, and he's upset with the Israelites. But not only is he upset with the Israelites, God is upset with the Israelites. And Moses is so upset that, he has several thousand, I believe like 3,000 of them killed, who no longer wanted to worship God. But God is so upset with the Israelites that God tells Moses, listen, y'all can go ahead to the promised land, but I'm not going with you. In fact, I love in Exodus 33, God calls the children of Israel stiff-necked people. God said, these some stiff-necked people. I ain't going with you into the promised land, but you can go, but I'm not going to go with you. And so in the verse that you read, what Moses says to God is, well, if you won't go, we don't want to go without you. And so there is this literal standoff. God is saying, I'm so upset, I'm so mad, I no longer want to be with these people. And what Moses is saying is that if you won't be with these people won't go on to where they want to be. Why do we use this scripture when we're talking about forgiveness? Because this is exactly what unforgiveness does. Unforgiveness keeps you stuck. It keeps you in the place of the pain. It keeps you in the place of the hurt. It keeps you from being able to move forward. When we aren't willing to forgive the person who hurt us, we stay in that place of pain. And so you recognize this when you meet up with folk who you have not forgiven. Every time you see them, you're instantly reminded of the pain. You're instantly reminded of what they did. And so you're stuck in that position. And so the only way to get unstuck is to forgive. The only way to get unstuck, to be able to begin to move into your destiny and move into your purpose, is to not hold on to unforgiveness, right? So forgiveness gets us unstuck. Eventually, God relented in Exodus 33 and said, you know what, I'm with you, Moses. If they go, I'll go with them. Because again, he understood the power and necessity, even for God, to be able to forgive, to be able because without it, they would have been stuck. Again, unforgiveness keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck in that place of pain. It keeps you stuck in that place of hurt. It doesn't allow you to grow past that point. Many of us are dwarfed in pain because we will not forgive the person who hurt us. And I'm not talking about, you forgive and then suddenly you let the person right back into the space they used to be. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as long as you're holding on to the pain and the accountability and the responsibility of the hurt, then you're no longer allowing yourself to grow past that point. You're stuck in that place of unforgiveness. And so again, forgiveness gets us unstuck. But it's not just about getting us unstuck. Forgiveness does something else. You'll notice that in the Gospels, that Jesus talks about forgiveness a lot. In fact, 7 different stories Jesus presents about forgiveness. Jesus is so into forgiveness that when the disciples ask him how to pray, and given the Lord's Prayer, Jesus talks about the power and necessity of forgiveness. And what Jesus says is that as we forgive others, God forgives us, right? And so not only does forgiveness get us unstuck, but forgiveness also gives us access to the blessings that God has for us. I want you to get this concept that there are some blessings, there is some access, there are some new levels that God has for you, but God is withholding them because you're holding on to unforgiveness, right? And so as I forgive others, God forgives me. God allows me to have that access. God allows me to be able to begin to move in that direction. And it's all contingent on my ability to forgive. So forgiveness, number one, gets us unstuck. And then number 2, forgiveness gives us access. God says in the text that as we forgive, he forgives us, right? It's even in the Lord's Prayer, right? So forgiveness is an important concept. And when we learn how to forgive, we're able to truly move and be who God has called us to be. It's amazing that on the cross, as Jesus is about to, transition, that one of the last words he says is, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Isn't that powerful? That even on the cross, Christ is talking about the power and necessity of forgiveness. Because even Christ understands that in order to transition, in order to get to the next level of what God has for you, the next level of where you're going, you can't carry unforgiveness into your new level. Listen, here are 5 questions for you. Number 1, how hard is it for you to forgive? Number 2, are there some people and circumstances that you can see that holding on to unforgiveness has not been helpful for your life? Number 3, what would it take for you today to begin to forgive? Number 4, are you ready right now? And if so, what's the first step? How do we get started? And number 5, are there some people and places and things in your life that you have forgiven, that you have seen the blessings of God because of? Listen, I love you. Likely your life group leader has some more questions for you. Hang out with them, and we'll see you next week. Peace.